Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Game series and our Crazy Leela series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we're taking another look at Leela playing with knight odds. This time against a very strong opponent who's rated more than 2800 in blitz and bullet. Very strong player, so very interesting to see what Leela can do against a player of this strength. And well, as you'll see, it's lots of interesting stuff happened, and the end was, also quite typical of what tends to happen to human players against Leela. Let's have a look how it started. So knight c3, this time Leela playing without the g1 knight. Rather unusual, as somebody pointed out on the channel. Typically, odds chess has been with the b1 knight missing, but this is perfectly good too. Knight c6 played by black, pretty flexible, e4 and then e5. So we've just got into a pretty standard opening there. Leela's played various things here, bishop c4, but here goes for a plan with d3 and g3. And fianchetto's always pretty common with Leela when Leela's playing high on Contempt and looking for a win. So not surprising that also, playing odds chess, Leela's often looking at fianchetto's. I think fianchetto's, they keep the pieces out of the range of exchanges and just build things up for a longer game, basically, which is kind of what you need with odds chess. So bishop c5 played, g3, and now d6. Lots of possibilities here. I got all sorts of engines, Torch, Stockfish and Obsidian, to have a look at what they wanted to do. Stockfish was looking at h5 in this position. Torch just for the calm, knight f6. Obsidian looking for queen f6, crazily enough. So lots of possibilities. But yeah, what black does is very, very sensible here. Bishop g2, knight f6. And now knight a4 from Leela. Leela likes to throw this in. I mean, I commented on it that Leela's not afraid, even with odds chess, starting a piece down, of swapping off one pair of minor pieces. You often see Leela maybe grabbing a bishop pair or something like that. And in this game, no difference. It was a little bit counterintuitive for me because I sort of assumed you'd be wanting to keep all of the pieces on and not looking for exchanges. But Leela's often willing to swap off one pair of minor pieces. So h6 played by black, and that's quite sensible. I mean, knight takes c5, d takes c5 is quite a nice structure for black. You're clamping down on the d3, d4 break. Yeah, opening up the d file like that. Pretty sensible. So h3 from Leela, just leaving that exchange just in the air for the moment. Bishop e6 from black, and castles, queen d7 and king h2. So by playing h3, king h2, Leela's looking to play f4 here, gain space on the king's side. And this type of structure with d3, e4, bishop on g2, and then playing for f4 like this. This is one of Leela's favourite ways of playing when it's playing odds chess. Now black did something very interesting, very aggressive here. Played the move g5. And now this is not bad at all. It was also Torch's choice in this position. Black's just clamping down on the f4 break, ready basically to open counterplay against the white king if white plays f4. So making it quite double-edged. And quite interesting that Leela here doesn't want to exchange the bishop anymore. I guess kind of aiming for the weak light squares now, because Leela just plays the knight back to c3 here, aiming for knight d5. Quite unexpected again, but just changing the plan slightly. Black played castles here. Actually, Stockfish, interestingly enough, wanted knight e7 here, which is quite sensible, stopping the knight from coming into d5. But castles from black here, and now knight d5. And interestingly enough, all of the engines want it the way that Leela plays it. So bishop takes d5 played, give up your bishop pair there, knight e7, and then bishop d2. So all of the engines are just saying, don't mind about this pawn being given away. It'll open up the light the long diagonal, and white's preparing to start pushing the queenside pawns and generating counterplay. Really interesting, actually. For me, I was thinking, well, just giving away a pawn, right? But Leela's never afraid to give up a pawn on top of the odds piece in order to generate counterplay at open lines. And yeah, good example here. But you see that Torch and Stockfish and Obsidian, they're all pretty keen on this. So knight e takes d5, and now the move c4. And now black played something really interesting here, and that's absolutely what all of the engines wanted. So I was very impressed with it. Just played the move knight f4, giving back the piece, but opening up some lines against the king. And black then has only got 2 pawns for the piece, but also an open g-file and, yeah, big counterplay against the white king. And yeah, actually on Mastodon, Mr. Beads, TCEC chatter, Leela's greatest fan, was sort of saying that he felt that that essentially that opponents should be playing more aggressively with that extra piece, and this is very much it somehow. Although you're a piece up, you shouldn't be afraid to sacrifice one back in order to get some big attack against the opponent. For example, if you can try and restrict Leela somehow. Not let Leela have counterplay with white, then yeah, you're probably doing a better job than just sitting back with your extra piece and letting Leela come at you. So this is what black is doing here. G takes f4, and yeah, looking pretty good. So bishop c3. I mean, the engines still say this is minus 3.7. So black is no longer a piece up, but the engines still think that black's playing really well. Still got the advantage basically that he started with. Rook g8, pretty obvious. Queen f3, and now c6, just blocking that long diagonal. b4 from Leela. Bishop b6 and b5, and yeah, this is something that that Leela's always doing very well, I think. Just never afraid, always just trying to open things up as quickly as possible. And here opening up the long diagonal. C takes b5 played. Strangely enough, quite interestingly, Obsidian wanted rook takes g2 here. King takes and rook g8 check. And following up with a really interesting line, bishop takes f2 here, rook f2, rook g3. So really forcing tactical line there. And now c takes b5, just winning the queen and breaking up the whole attack. I like this very much. Both Torch and Stockfish just wanted to to keep it cool and just build up slowly. Well, I'm sure they could win like that too. But I thought that this, very sharp tactic and very sharp way and really breaking everything was really nice too. It's kind of possible for humans to play that way, but yeah, I mean, obviously it costs us a lot of effort to calculate this stuff, could make mistakes along the way. So you tend to play more safely. But I think, from time to time, really going into the tank and trying to find some sort of concrete path like that would be, the safest way to play against Leela. C takes b5 played, c takes b5 from Leela there, and king b8 from black, all very natural. Actually, both Torch and Obsidian now wanted to play rook takes g2 check in this position, but king b8 is a pretty safe move. a4 from Leela, keeping on going, looking for a5, a6, pretty obvious. Rook c8 now from black, and all the engines like that somehow. Rook fc1 from Leela, keeping it tight at the back. Torch was looking at a5, but doesn't look that promising. I mean, I think you just take off, takes, and just looks pretty safe for black really. So rook c1 from Leela here, but it gives black the opportunity to play rook takes c3 here. Again, interestingly enough, Torch wanting this rook g2 check again. So rook g2, king g2, rook g8 check now, king f1, and then bishop takes f2. Again, you're looking for this rook g3 and queen h3, and again looks very, very strong. But Stockfish completely at one with what black played in this position. Rook takes c3. rook c3 and bishop d4, swapping off a lot of pieces. Rook c1 played by Leela, takes and takes. And yeah, I mean, opinions about this sort of vary a little bit between the engines. I think both Torch and Obsidian feel that Leela's done a little bit better. They're looking at it as minus 2.4 here. Stockfish still thinks plus 3 here, you know. So quite interesting. I mean, in general terms, I sort of feel that Leela's done quite okay from this somehow. I mean, you've still got some feeling that you've got attack along the h1a8 diagonal. Your own king feels a lot safer now that all these pieces have been taken off, and you've still got the possibilities of going a5, a6. But of course, you know, black is 2 pawns up, so in principle, you'd expect this to be looking pretty good for black. But of course, this was a 5-minute plus 3 seconds game, which is a decent time control, obviously for somebody who's as good at bullet and blitz as black is. But obviously, you know, you're starting to get down to a minute and a half of your original time plus the increment. You know, never easy to put Leela away in these positions, and Leela just keeps on going, keeps on fighting with stuff. King h1 out of the way. Rook c8 from black, and now a5, which I thought was a really interesting move there. Leela's not bothered about the b pawn here. What Leela wants is to have the possibility of playing a6 at some stage. So gives away that b pawn, plays queen e2, hitting the pawn on e4, on e5 rather, and now e4. I mean, it looks totally crazy. What on earth is Leela doing here? But the point is this move queen d2. So just hitting the pawn on f4, and it's suddenly quite hard to defend that one, and also defend the e4 pawn. You sort of dragged the queen away from the dark squares here. So queen d3 would allow queen f4, which is going to pick up a piece. f3 played, and now bishop f1, and we're threatening d takes e4, and we're also threatening queen f4, picking up the knight. Really, I mean, this is the sort of I mean, this is what happens when you're playing an engine in these types of positions. They find all these horrible tactics that you're sort of looking, you know, what's happening? Aren't I just winning a pawn? What's the problem? Oh, that's the problem. Is that really a problem? You know, it's but you know, normally an engine might just you know, desperately try and get back some material and then win a piece and just be lost in an endgame. Of course, the way that Leela's playing it, and you see this you know, differently somehow in what all the engines are playing here. You know, after f3 here, you know, some of the engines are looking at playing bishop f3 and then just getting a pawn back with queen f4 takes f6, but it's just going to be totally lost somehow. But Leela's, you know, in this sort of mood is keeping the play on. So queen f4 check is the threat. D takes c4 also a threat for black to work out here. Queen c6, and now Leela throws in this a6 on the king side. You know, keeping danger just going there. And now, yeah, a big crucial moment, and probably a big mistake here from the human player. Not that it's a bad move, but it's just leaving a lot of long-term danger. Black played b6 here, and Stockfish also thinks this is possible, but I think that b takes a6 would have been the best. You know, there is just less danger in the air if you haven't got a pawn on a6. And okay, white can maybe try and some stage get a bishop on a6 at some stage, but at least you're using a piece, you know, to create that danger. Whereas here it's just a fire and forget. After b6, the pawn is there forever, and you've got a mating threat on b7 forever. I think that was a nasty little error there. You know, just human error there. So queen f4 check played by Leela, king a8, d takes e4. And now none of the engines and also the human player really dared to play d takes e4. Play the move knight takes e4, which I quite like in actual fact. I mean, get that knight active instead of having it sort of, you know, attacked by the queen and restricted and defending a pawn on e4. Get the knight into play, attacking the white king side. Feels like a great move. So queen f7 played by Leela, and you can see Leela teeing up already for queen b7. And actually, here something quite amazing happens. All the engines want black to play king b8, just get the king out of the corner there, get the king off that long diagonal, ready maybe to escape, later. Because what black played was knight takes f2 check, and now the engines say 0.00. So can you imagine? I mean, black's just won a third pawn there, and the engines are saying equal. What's the reason for it? Well, the reason is actually after king g1, knight e4, white could actually play the move queen b7 check here, which both Torch and Obsidian say, well, this is just equal. Bishop a6 check, king b8 takes, and rook takes a7, and white should be able to hold this. But of course, Leela's not this does not look like very good winning chances for white. So Leela's not at all interested in that, and I'm sure that however Leela's evaluating, the danger in the black king, the fact that the black king can be mated, must have played a role, because Leela didn't go for queen b7. Leela played rook c1, and in all fairness, this was the move that Stockfish wanted as well. So rook c1, horrible move. If queen c1, we've got queen b7 checkmate. So knight c5 played by black. And now queen takes f3 from Leela. The engines don't like that, actually, funnily enough. They want the move bishop b5, with the idea, can you spot the tactic here? If queen takes b5, then queen b7 check. Knight b7 and rook c8 checkmate is really, really nice. But yeah, queen c7, queen d5, queen f3. This was what the engines wanted. But I guess that Leela was a little bit worried about the chances for pieces getting exchanged after rook g8 and queen g3 here, when the exchange of queens is being forced, and most of the danger disappears from black's position. So what Leela played was the move queen takes f3, not taking that pawn on d5, but able to put the bishop on g2 and keep the pressure on. So king b8 from black, bishop g2, rook g8, and king h1. So the engines are back at minus 1.3 here. So they think that obviously Leela should have taken the pawn whilst it could, but Leela's thinking winning chances. Keep the bishop on the long diagonal. Keep it pointing towards the black king. So black played queen d6 and now rook d1. And yeah, this is probably wasn't a very clever way for black to play there. Yeah, we're threatening rook takes d5 here, and well, how does black deal with that? Black decided to play rook g5, but after queen f7, yeah, this feels awkward. It's not actually, black's perfectly fine, but the knight on c5 is covering everything. It's all right, but there are moves like bishop d5 coming in, and the black king is obviously feeling rather worried there. So black played queen d7 here, and now queen f8 check, king c7, and Leela starts to poke around. It's still all right for black. We're at 0.00. I mean, black's got it all covered. The queen's covering the second rank, the rook's covering the pawn, and the king can sort of hop either way, or the queen can cover any checks. It's all right. But the problem is that, against a normal engine, they'd all be saying, OK, we'll take the draw, that's fine. But yeah, Leela's just in this mood, just keeps on going somehow. And yeah, this is rather more difficult for a human player to deal with than an engine, of course. And in actual fact, the engines thought that queen f7 was the best move here. So give away that h6 pawn in order to consolidate with the knight. But yeah, I mean, how do you know that? I mean, for a human player, this looks like all the attack is still going. In actual fact, what happened here for the human player was quite tragic. He still had a reasonable amount of time, actually, but played the move queen g7, obviously looking to probably looking, in fact, to just go for the draw by repetition somehow. But white played rook takes d5 check. Horrific little blow there. because if rook d5, queen g7, and black down now to about 20 seconds resign this position. In actual fact, the engines still think that that this position is equal. Because this knight's actually doing a sterling job. After king e6, you sort of feel that you must be losing somehow. But after queen c8, you can actually just play the move king f7 here. And well, this knight is covering d7. The rook is covering the fifth rank. f5 is covered. And yeah, if you do something like well, rook d1, for example, then there's moves like rook g2. If you were to go back to d2, you'd have the move queen a1 check and queen e5. So black's actually perfectly safe in this position. And what the engines were doing was rook d1, rook g2, queen f5, king e7, rook e1, king d6, queen f4. You get chased around all the houses, but the best that white has got is to pick up this this exchange. And here with the black passed pawns, the engine thinks that that's ending up in a draw in the end. So a bit of a tragic end for the human player, but you can see, yeah, just what the well, I mean, it's so hard playing engines, you know, the amount of concentration that you need in order to play a game like this, and looking out for all the tricks, you know, desperately trying to keep yourself together, playing well. But then, you know, when it starts getting shorter of time, all the tricks are coming from Leela. Yeah, really, really tough. But you can see, you know, that the strong players, they're able to get very, very far against Leela with that extra piece. But yeah, putting Leela away is pretty tough as soon as you're at you know, some sort of shortish time control. Although, you know, 5+3 is fairly decent for strong players. So yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see watch more of these games. You know, Leela playing against strong players. I mean, Leela made an absolutely massive score against this player. You know, at this sort of time control. And just shows, you know, how impressive David Navarro was playing against Leela in the last match, because he was playing at you know, shorter time controls than this, and you know, acting and sort of, you know, winning very, very convincingly. But yeah, obviously this Leela seems to be another step up. So yeah, going to be really, really interesting when the next match happens against a really, really strong player. But interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm sure you'll agree. And I'm just gradually, you know, playing through lots of games and trying to put together a nice little profile of Leela's play at this time control, and hopefully that can be a series of videos in the future, because I think yeah, it can tell us an awful lot about you know, how you can really make the most of your resources in chess. And I think that knowing how to do it in odd chess can definitely help us for normal chess as well. So there we are. Hope you're enjoying this series and the Mariotti series as well. I am actually looking at another re-engineering the Chess Classics series on a really fantastic player. So do stay tuned for that, and hopefully lots more engine stuff and Leela stuff to come as well. Thanks for watching, everyone.